Do you have plans to come to Walt Disney World? Well, buckle up because this show is for you. But before we get into that and many other things on tonight's show, we've got Jess with the latest news. Take it away, Jess.
Hello, everybody. All right, so I'm going to start with the parks news. If you are planning on going to Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party and do not have your tickets yet, there are so many sold out dates. There's only one date in September left, and there's about 15 dates left altogether. So make sure you get your tickets for that. The last day is November 1st, and I believe that might be sold out at this point. So make sure you check out what dates are available and get your tickets. And there is also annual pass and DVC discounts for that too. So check that out. All right, speaking of annual pass holders and DVC members, there are previews that have been announced for Epcot's Journey of Water, inspired by Moana. And those previews start September 24th through the 29th. And they are also October 1st through 4th. You must have a park reservation to see this experience. If you enter the park after 2 p.m. without a reservation, because we are allowed to do so now, you will not be eligible to participate in the preview. You do need a park reservation if you are entering the park after 2 p.m. in order to be a part of this experience. There is no pre-registration, so all pass holders and DVC members with an Epcot Park reservation are eligible to attend. Note that there will be a standby line, no virtual queue. So you may be waiting a while, just to let you know there. The parking trams for Hollywood Studios and Epcot are now in testing mode, so they will be coming soon. We did get a September teaser for that, so hopefully before the 30th would be lovely. All right, I'm going to move on to food news. There are some fun Halloween treats in Walt Disney World right now. There are so many, but I'll just say my favorites right now. Of course, you can check them out at the parks and at Disney Springs. There is a Dole Whip sampler at Swirls on the Water at Disney Springs. I love Dole Whip. So, Dole Whip and vanilla soft serve with pineapple wedge. And then there's a pumpkin and salted caramel soft serve with caramel sauce and caramel crisp pearls. And then there's also a pistachio soft serve and purple cheesecake soft serve with roasted salted pistachios. And then there's also an apple cider slush with pumpkin soft serve, apple cider, pumpkin soft serve, and apple slice. And the alcoholic version does have Fireball whiskey. All right, so moving on to merchandise. All right, so at ESPN Wide World of Sports, from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. on September 20th through the 23rd, there will be a major shopping event. There's going to be various Pandora charms, including a special annual pass holder Pandora charm. There's 60% off select merchandise, including 50th anniversary merchandise, and then also Loungefly and Dooney and Burke fashions. There will also be photo ops and special food and beverage offerings for purchase. There will be a virtual queue for this event, and you can join the virtual queue at 8 a.m. on the day that you want to go, and that is on the My Disney Experience app. The same way you would use a virtual queue for any of the rides that use it at this point. You do not need to be in Walt Disney World to access the virtual queue, and you will have 2 hours once your name is called or number is called. So if you live an hour away, you have plenty of time to get there. I'm moving on to Disney Plus news. From now through September 20th, new and returning customers can subscribe to the Disney Plus Basic with ads for $1.99 per month for 3 months. The price for Disney Plus will jump to $13.99 per month on October 12th. And the ad-free bundle with Disney Plus and Hulu will be $19.99 a month. Ads are about 4 minutes per hour, so it's really not that bad. I guess it's really up to you whether you have lived wonderfully without the ads or can live with a little bit smaller of a bill for a few ads. The live action, this is not really Disney Plus news, but movie news, I guess. The live action Snow White has a release date, and that will be in theaters on March 22nd, 2024. And in other news, I did mention last week that if you want to see the Disney Parks updates at Destination D23 this weekend, and you do not have a ticket, you can watch Saturday's events live stream at the Disney D23 YouTube channel, the Disney D23 Facebook page, or the website d23.com/Destination D23. And then finally, for news, the Disney Cruise Line Disney Treasure has now had their fun little preview. That was on the Disney Parks blog. That was it was actually this past Tuesday. So you can check that out. But just really quick, their bookings for itineraries will open September 20th. And if you are a Disney Cruise Line Castaway Club member, you can book on September 12th, which is way sooner. The first voyage is December 21st, 2024. So not this December, but like a year and like 4 months from now. So there's still ways to go, but you can still get your bookings for 7-night voyages in the Caribbean. I do encourage you to look up all the new and fun things happening aboard this ship. There are a lot, and I think it would be fun for you to discover all Disney did to make this special. All right, so I'm going to move on to park hours. Tomorrow is Friday, for those of you who are listening tonight on Thursday. Friday, September 8th, Magic Kingdom will be open from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. with a Halloween party from 7 to 12. Saturday, 9 to 10 p.m. Sunday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. with a Halloween party at 7 to midnight. Monday, 9 to 10. Tuesday, 9 to 6 with a Halloween party. And Wednesday, 9 to 10. Thursday, 9 to 10. Epcot and Disney's Hollywood Studios are both open from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Animal Kingdom on Friday, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Saturday and Sunday, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. And Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Typhoon Lagoon is 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. every day. Blizzard Beach is closed. Boardwalk, 6:30 a.m. to 10 p.m. Disney Springs on Friday and Saturday, 10 a.m. to 11:30 p.m. and Sunday through Thursday, 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. And the weather. Expect highs in the high 80s and the low 70s, 70s and the low 90s. I'm sorry, I read that wrong. But really, it just feels like 95 all the time. And lows in the mid 70s. That is really just in the morning. And then as soon as the sun comes up, it's just hot. So it's hot. There is a 40 to 70% chance of afternoon thunderstorms every day. And that, of course, can change. So pack your ponchos and your sunscreen. And that's all I have today.
All right. Thanks, Jess. Before you bow out, great job again with the news. Do you know what today is, though, in Disney history?
Wait, today is the 8th?
No, well, today's the 7th.
7th. So September 7th.
It was 1994.
I can't think of it, but you can tell me.
I will. Mary Smith from Illinois, Kurt, was the 1 billionth guest with Disney Park.
Look at that.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
And there's one more thing I want to mention before you go. We've got an anniversary to celebrate here tonight. John and Kelly married 38 freaking years.
Oh,
happy ones too. Happy anniversary, John and Kelly.
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you.
All right. Take care, Jess.
All right, I'm heading out. See you real soon.
Yep. Good night. All right. Now, I know Darlene has gotten to see the Moana. What do you call that thing again?
Journey of Water.
Journey of Water, right? But before we get into that, there is something I want to mention because Jess brought up the Disney Treasure. Sailings are going to begin in December of 2024. Just a little tip for everybody. I know people want to clamor to be on that inaugural cruise. I always think when a ship comes out, it doesn't have to be a Disney ship. It could be any ship. I think you're better off waiting about a month into when the new ship starts to sail, so they can get the kinks out, get everything together, whether it's the show or the service there. So, because there's always going to be little problems with a new staff, new crew, so you want to give it about a month. But I know nobody's going to listen to me because they want to be the first one on the ship. But I thought I'd mention that. Anyway, Darlene, take it away. Oh, wait, one more thing. Sorry. I didn't introduce everybody at the beginning of the show except Jess. So I want to give a shout out to Kurt, John, and Darlene, and myself, Stuart. And this is the WDW Fan Zone show. All right. Sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I was asked by my dear friend, and she's a cast member, to join her on the adventure into Journey of Water. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't do any research on it or anything. But I've got to tell you, this is going to be an amazing break and addition to Epcot. It's a walkthrough. It's a self-guided tour. There will be, cast members, I'm sure, for a while in there to help explain things and what's going on. It's very well structured, so where you can walk, where it's going to get you wet possibly, or you're going to walk through water. And then they have a dry section that you can go around so you don't get wet. They also have a lot of signage to explain the section that you are in. Pay attention to the rocks because they have beautiful art design in the rocks. And they have interactive water as well. I posted a few pictures on my personal page. I will post a few pictures on our Fan Zone page in the next couple days. It's really going to be a fun thing to walk through. And, just thinking of the water aspect, they do have like a little splash pad and stuff for kids, but they also have spots where it's going to be cooler on a hot day, that you're going to get like, you might get misted or something. So it's really a lot of fun, and it's well designed, like you would think. Everything. I have like one picture I want to show you guys of one of the rock designs. If you are watching on YouTube.
Oh, so Moana is within the rock design.
Yeah.
Looks like she's carved into the rock.
Yes.
For those of you that are audio right now.
Exactly. I mean, it's just utterly amazing. And some of the spots you're going to be able to jump with the water. Some you can touch the water and it's going to make noise. It's really interesting. It's a really well thought out project. I can't wait to see the rest of the areas when they open them up for us in the future months and stuff. So, but it takes a lot of time to do something like that. Now we know why. So
are there places to sit down, relax?
There are benches positioned throughout. I wouldn't say they're definitely in a shaded area though. It depends on where the sun is, and that, the sun just seems to shine right down on Epcot. So, but yeah, there are definitely areas where you'll be able to take a break and sit. I think it's going to be very busy in the beginning. I think it'll be more manageable once everything else opens up and it's open for you to get around and stuff. I think that that'd be nice.
So is there extra space? So I understand it's a walk-through, so there's only
Yes.
one entrance and one exit. But is there open space beyond the Moana walk-through
As
in
of
that
right now,
central
we
area?
don't know because everything is blocked off to the other areas.
Okay. So it's yet to be seen. Okay.
Yes. So in the future, we will know more. I would like to ride the monorail again and be able to
Look down.
see
Yeah.
if I can tell what's going to happen. But yeah, I haven't rode the monorail in a while. So, but that's all I have for now.
All right. Thank you, Darlene.
You are welcome.
Bird's eye view from one of us locals here, at least. We get that. I won't get to go until a couple weeks from now.
Yeah.
Hopefully. So tonight's show, we had a hurricane come through the Florida Bend last week, and we've got another one on the way, not to Florida, but it's supposed to hit, depending on where it tracks, possibly the Northeast, possibly Bermuda, possibly stay out at sea. It's a little too early to tell yet. But it is hurricane season, and I think the worst month to go on a cruise or come to Walt Disney World is probably September through October, or part of October. For some reason, that seems to be when the hurricanes, the bad hurricanes, form and come through this way. So I figured it'd be a good time to do a show on being prepared if you have a vacation plan to go to Walt Disney World this time of year. And one of the things I thought of is if you're staying on property, Disney is well prepared and well versed in what to do with guests. But what if you're not staying on property?
That's a problem. I don't know if I want to be off property during a hurricane.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be.
It depends on what type of structure you're in, basically. If you don't know what your house rental is made out of in that, I wouldn't want to be in a wooden structure during a hurricane.
Yeah, but I think it's more than the structure too. So certainly that's a concern, a physical safety concern. But beyond that, I've been in Disney World when there was a hurricane, when Hurricane Floyd came through years ago. And we couldn't go into the parks one day. We weren't supposed to leave our resorts. So your resort's very important, because if you're going to be stuck there for a day, can't go into a park, you want there to be amenities to keep you occupied. And
Right.
As we've seen with the Disney cast members from the past few years, they're very good at entertaining the resort guests and giving them something to keep them occupied and keeping them fed too. I know they've had challenges with that as well, as any resort could. But if you're in a bigger resort and it's on Disney property, you've got more amenities and more activities available to you when you have nowhere else to go.
Well, and along with that, what I was thinking was if you're not in a Disney resort, who's to say there's going to be anyone still at the resort other than that one person working down at the base?
Well, right.
Because people at Disney resorts, they're going to be staying there. You're not going to have anyone staying, most likely, at one of these off-property resorts.
And especially, like you say, a smaller one.
Correct.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, what Disney has, and I believe they've done this in the past, when there's a hurricane in the Central Florida area or somewhere in that vicinity, they will allow residents who need to be evacuated from wherever they're living to come in if there's any rooms that are unoccupied and stay on Disney property.
50% discount.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my sister was telling me about that last night. They give a 50% discount for open rooms.
Oh, now, so here's my thing. If you know you're coming down during hurricane season, what would be one of the things that you would pack for hurricane season?
What about that 3 foot by 5 foot American flag that we always see Florida man holding out there in the middle of the when the winds are blowing like crazy? Oh no, that's right. That's Florida man. That's not coming from another state. One of the things I talked with my sister about this, and she said there's a couple things that you really need to have, because what if you're staying at a moderate resort? They tell you to stay in your resort. Do you really want to leave your room in the middle of 120-mile-an-hour winds? So what she recommended was make sure, whether you buy it in Florida or you buy it up, bring it down with you, a loaf of bread and a jar of peanut butter. Because it's an easy sandwich. Everyone can eat it. Have some crackers there too, in case you run out of bread. And a case of water, which you're going to have to buy down there.
Or get grocery delivery.
You're not going to get grocery delivery necessarily in the middle of a hurricane.
No, ahead of time.
No, ahead of time. And I was thinking that too. And a lot of people have allergies to peanut butter, which that wouldn't work for like my friend's grandson. But
there also are Nutella spreads and stuff like that you could substitute in,
right,
if you needed to.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking, you definitely want to make sure you have food and water. Also, in those moderate resorts, you don't have the option like we do in DVC. DVC, I don't know if they've put them back in. I think they probably would have, but you have like a gaming area where you can get like DVDs and games and stuff to take back to your room and play. So I would think that you would want to pack some travel games, or coloring book, crayons, stuff like that.
Something to keep you occupied, and if you have children and a family, something to keep everybody in the family occupied.
Correct. Even a book.
There's no guarantee, even on property, that you're going to have electricity. Also,
yes.
Well, they do have backup generators,
right?
But how long they'll last, and
that's the thing. Yeah.
Well, but maybe even a flashlight, a reading light, something like that.
Extra batteries for your phone or devices.
Yes, true.
Now, let's be clear. I'm not saying that this will never happen, but I think Disney's been pretty darn lucky over the years in terms of avoiding hurricanes and withstanding anything that's come this way.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
So I think you're pretty safe and secure there. A lot of people with this last one, they panicked and just like they packed up their bags and ran home. Whether they get their money back for their vacation or not, I don't know. I don't know if they were staying on property, off property. I would think the hotels off property are going to be a little less accommodating with guests that pack up and leave early, especially when the hurricane didn't even hit here and was never intended to hit in this area.
Disney did honor it.
Yeah, Disney always will. Well, Disney always will, but there's a good track record there that they will.
And yet, one of the things we were talking about, the resorts, being on property isn't always enough. So when I was there for Hurricane Floyd, they evacuated the Caribbean beach to where we were staying. We were staying at the yacht club, and they because the buildings are so spread out, and I'm not sure if any of them are lower lying, but they couldn't monitor people well enough, or they had safety concerns. They evacuated them into the convention center.
Oh,
so they were on cots and they took care of them, but it's not as comfortable as being in a hospital in a hotel room.
It is so spread out. I agree.
Yeah.
So that makes sense that they would do that, especially if they're really worried about it. They don't want trees coming down and blocking you in your room, and then they can't get you out.
Right. So
if you're the same with Port Orleans, French Quarter,
it could be, or the Riverside as well. But that's something we've talked about planning. That's something to think about if you're planning a trip for September and October, as you said, or the higher.
Don't stay in the tree houses.
They'll stay in the tree
Well,
houses.
They got hit hard in 2006 when that hurricane hit.
Mhm.
They did, yeah.
Yeah. You know, if you're planning a vacation during hurricane season to Disney World, and you might be doing a land and sea vacation, those are popular. And John has taken a few of those. I wouldn't necessarily say don't do it during hurricane season. It's just you got to be careful where you're staying. It's you guys mentioned batteries, flashlights, things. There are things you would normally bring in. Bring a first aid kit too.
Mm-hmm.
But I would bring that no matter what time of year it is.
Yeah.
Packaged foods, packaged snacks, something that does not require like refrigeration,
right?
Just in case.
Yeah, just in case. I mean, it's not like you won't be able to get to a store or something, but you don't know. Sometimes, I mean, you don't know if a hurricane's coming. And like we've said in the past, I've gotten stuck in some really bad rainstorms driving through the town and stuff. And those, you can't see where you're going when the rain is coming down. You don't want to be out going to a store. So, I know you're on vacation, but pay attention to the weather,
Yeah. And how are you traveling here? If you're coming by car, is that any less safer than going by plane? Those are things you have to think about too.
If your car coming by air, know what your airline's policies are.
Exactly.
If you have to delay your trip by a day, now they're generally pretty good.
I'm glad you said something about that, John, because what's the number one thing you should do, especially if you're coming during?
Have a travel planner.
Travel insurance.
No. Well, yes, but you must have travel insurance. That is a must.
Travel insurance.
Do not come do not come to Disney World during hurricane season without travel insurance, just in case. I would tell you to get travel insurance anyway,
right?
No matter when you're coming. And there are very different plans out there from different companies that offer good, bad, and otherwise travel insurance. So be careful. But if you have a travel planner like Mouse Fan Travel, they will set you up with the right travel insurance for your trip. Mm-hmm. And you can find out all about Mouse Fan Travel and the great deals they've got going on right now by going to www.mousefantravel.com. That's www.mousefantravel.com. And they'll help you prepare and let you know what you need to do for this time of year if you're coming during hurricane season as well. A good travel planner will do that for you. They'll give you advice, they'll give you tips, and they'll tell you what you need to be prepared. Just like we're doing here. Disney, if there is a hurricane at Disney World, God forbid, there's plenty of food available there, but if they don't have electricity, they might not be able to cook it. But they do have prepared foods, but like Kurt said, you be prepared and bring prepared foods. Yeah. Or packaged food.
I know one of my friends that was there during a hurricane, and she was at the Polynesian. They did hand out bag lunches. Mm-hmm. So that was nice. Another thing is be prepared to pack. I say it after every show, a poncho, bring an umbrella.
Well, I don't know how good an umbrella will be in a hurricane.
Well, right.
Yeah.
I mean, you pack shoes that won't stay wet, something that you could maybe dry. Make sure you have, even like thinner layered clothing that dries fast. They do have the, dry quick shirts and stuff now. Maybe pack a couple of those too,
Well, and you mentioned about staying at DVC properties. Mm-hmm. If you have a one bedroom or larger, you've got washer and dryer there.
Yes,
and there's
which is great.
Not enough for everybody to have that, but if you have that option, or if you can rent some points from one of the rental agencies, or you have family members that have some points you can rent, it having that extra space is going to be helpful, as well as having
Yep.
the refrigerator, and having the washer and dryer. You're going to have a better experience than if you're in a small single hotel room.
Yes.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Now we know the airlines haven't had a great track record lately of being on time and canceling a lot of flights over the last year. But if I were going to Disney World during hurricane season, I would not. I would rent a car if I had to drive. I would not bring my own car because if God forbid, again with that God forbid, your car gets in the path of a hurricane or a tornado, even because tornadoes do pop up, even though there may not be a hurricane there. There could be a tornado that pops up. You don't want to have your mode of transportation gone. If it's a rental car and you have insurance on it, it's like, I hate to say it, but who cares?
Yeah.
It's not your own vehicle, at least.
Don't rent an electric car.
Oh no.
Yes.
Not during
No.
hurricane season, please no.
No.
I know there's a major push for electric, and we're not going to get into it. There's a major push for electric cars in this country. There's a lot of good side to them. There's a lot of downside to them as well, and I think the country needs to be a little more careful as it proceeds with this. But that's a story for another show, not ours. But Kurt's absolutely right. You don't want an electric car in a hurricane.
No.
Well, you get stuck, even if you're stuck coming in or out of the state on those expressways, you're stuck.
Yep.
You only
Well,
have
charging
X
station,
amount
right?
of electricity, and
Yep.
what
That's
if you can't get in anywhere to get those things charged?
Yep.
You mentioned about having a travel planner. One of the additional reasons it would be helpful to have a travel planner is if you are at Walt Disney World and there is a hurricane and you were scheduled to leave, you're going to have to work with Disney to find another hotel room, potentially another resort room. May not even be in the same resort. So if you've got a travel planner, they can do that work for you.
Correct.
Now, how many of us here were on the great Lou Mangello's WDW radio cruise right after Sandy? So Darlene and myself, and we got hit hard in New Jersey when I was living there. And I can't tell you how many times our Mouse Fan travel planner called us to make sure we were okay, see if there was anything they could do to help us out. And luckily our flight was on schedule. It was one of the first flights out, and we were okay. We were able to fly down, and everything was fine. But they really stepped up to try to help people out.
Yeah.
And if you're down there and you're dealing with a hurricane, the last thing you need is to have to deal with those kinds of difficulties of trying to make arrangements. If you have to stay in Walt Disney World for one extra day because of it,
oh, poor you.
Wouldn't you rather be spending your time,
Somewhere
relaxing
safe.
as best you can, enjoying yourself as best you can, as compared to worrying over, oh my gosh, I've got to make new arrangements. And you're going to have to, you may have to already worry about making flight arrangements. So somebody, and depending on how you book things, your travel planner could do all of that for you.
Yes, absolutely. It's being away from home and being in the path, or possibly being in the path of a hurricane, is not something people cherish or want to do.
No.
But you know what? The best time to go to Walt Disney World is during hurricane season, because it's in between the holiday season and it's in between when school goes back and the holiday season. Not that there's any great time to go to Walt Disney World anymore. There's no downtime. Because they do the marathons, they try to squeeze them in there to bring attendance up. The anniversary, the parks, Epcot and Magic Kingdom. So a lot comes together during those times, but it's also a wonderful time to be there because of food and wine. And you just be prepared. Don't think about what time of year you're going and that something could happen. Just think about what a great time you're going to have with everything that's going on in the parks, and how much less crowded they'll be than if you were there in July and August. I'm trying to think. This was not a long subject for us to do a show on, quite honestly, and I kind of intended it that way. I didn't want to go too long tonight. But, as long as you go in there with a mindset, I'll be safe and I'll be happy because I'm going to have a magical time, it'll be okay, no matter what happens. So you get stuck in Walt Disney World for a couple of extra days if a hurricane happens to come nearby. Big deal. There are worse things in life. I'd rather be stuck at Walt Disney World than stuck someplace else, like on a plane on a runway for 6 hours.
Well, we talked about last week about whether park hoppers are good.
Mm-hmm.
I would suggest that a park hopper may be worthwhile if you're going to be traveling during hurricane season. Because let's say you happen to get hit by a hurricane and the parks close. If you have a park hopper, you can split your day up and get to see potentially all 4 parks if that was your goal.
Correct.
Whereas if you only have a day pass and you can only go to one park in a given day, if you were there for 4 days and you lost a day for the hurricane, you probably won't be able to get to all the parks if that's what your intent was. So it's something to consider. We said last time it all depends on a number of factors, but that's something to pay attention to. That could be something you want to consider depending on the time of year you're going and how many days you plan to be there.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I would bring up, I don't know if you guys mentioned this before, I was having a little technical problem on my end here, but a backup battery or phone charger.
We did mention,
Extra batteries. While I don't know, have any of you ever seen the resorts lose power?
No,
not myself.
Yeah, but have all your batteries charged and then ready to go just in case you need them.
Something else I thought of. Disney has a lot of solar. They run a lot on solar energy too. If they're not getting sunshine because of the hurricane, it will go to their, backup to electricity, I believe, or their backup generator. But if there's a lack of sun to charge those solar panels for a long period of time, I've never seen it affect Disney negatively. That doesn't mean it can't happen. But I've never seen it. I mean, it's fields upon fields of solar panels they have. And not all of them are close to property, believe it or not. They're far away.
Right. You certainly want to pay attention. So when we were there during a hurricane, Disney, and this was before there was social media and some of the communication methods they have now, they did a very good job of communicating out to the guests with leaving letters under the door, leaving messages, voice messages on the phone. But pay attention to what they're telling you.
Yes, and listen to what they're telling you.
Yes, if they tell you don't go outside your door, they're doing that for your safety.
Yeah. Yep. I know if I were going to Walt Disney World during a hurricane, or during hurricane season, I should say, there's no way in, that I would want to stay off property. Maybe some of the major chains have protocol in place and policies to keep their guests safe. I would assume they do, but we know Disney will do everything humanly possible to make sure that happens. They're going to consider your safety first above anything else, and the people that work there as well. They don't want any of their employees to get hurt during any kind of disturbance. I can't speak for a place off property, but I personally would not take a chance and stay off property. But then again, I recommend people staying on property whenever they go to Walt Disney World. I think it's just more of an immersive experience.
If you're going to invest in a great vacation,
go all the way.
Find the property that's right for you. Yes, but go all the way, just like you say.
Yeah. Especially if you've never been to Walt Disney World and the only way you can afford is by staying at, and I'm just going to, Motel 6 down the road.
Is there Motel 6 down the road?
I have no clue. I hope not. I don't know. I would just throw a name out. And not to knock Motel 6, I'm sure it serves a purpose for its guests. But if that's all you can afford, just keep in mind that if something happens, if you're there with children, are your children going to be safe?
Yeah. Well, so if you're planning to use Motel 6, maybe going between September and November is not the best time to do it.
Well,
Right.
we don't know what policy they have in effect and what they would do for their guests. We don't know, and I don't want to disparage them by saying don't
Right.
go. And I don't even know if there's one around here.
I mean, most of the hotels I know around, even the Disney Springs hotels, would be like your Holiday Inn, your Hyatt, your
Marriott.
DoubleTree, Hilton's, Marriott, Residency Inn. So a lot of those
Darlene's guest
have
bedroom.
like at least a
She ignored me.
what?
I said Darlene's guest bedroom.
Oh.
Ah,
A lot of those have like an area where they have like a little buffet breakfast and stuff like that. So you'd have the food and stuff, but then again, they might not have the activities and stuff that you would be able to get to help stay active while you're in their resort.
and entertain.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If you're staying off property, I don't know if this can be done or if it's ever been done. But if you're staying at, let's say, a Marriott and you're just not comfortable staying in the area, maybe they can transfer your reservation to a hotel in another part of the state that if you're lucky enough that you'll be able to get to.
Yeah, I don't know. That's something that they'd probably want to ask.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and you can certainly bet that the airports, if the big storm's coming through, will be closed at least temporarily. Well, definitely temporarily, but
Yeah.
And you mentioned about food. One of the other things, I think you need to be prepared to be flexible.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly you're going to be miserable if you're not, if you run into bad situations and you're there for a hurricane. They probably are not going to have all the food offerings they normally have. Some of the fine dining. When we were there, all of the resorts were serving the same meal. So
Yeah.
we had booked a reservation at another Disney resort, and not knowing we weren't supposed to go to it, they made the reservation, they took it. So we were going from the yacht club over to the Wilderness Lodge the next day after the hurricane had kind of gone through. But that next day is when the parks were all closed. We went over to the Wilderness Lodge and they asked us, well, what are you doing here? We said, where we're coming from. We said, we have a reservation. They gave it to us and they let us in, but they were serving the same meal that they had served to us the day before at the yacht club galley.
Yeah.
So you were saying earlier, Darlene, about handing out box lunches. The meal choices become much less and much simpler.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to kind of go with the flow and be flexible. And don't expect a nice night of your favorite dining location.
Heck, if I needed to find food, I'd be happy with a to-go cup of the Frosted Flakes, Fruit Loops. As long as I had something to nibble on, I'd be very happy.
Stuart, I just want our Dole Whips.
What do you think is the worst possible thing a guest could do if they're stuck in a situation where maybe there is a threat or a hurricane that's forced closure of the parks and maybe even the resort to be on lockdown? Worst thing a guest could do.
Complain.
Well, is let themselves get aggravated.
Right.
Yeah.
Just keep your cool. Stay calm. Be patient.
It's out of
because you don't know.
It's out of your control. Just go along with it and make the best of it possible. If you're there with a family and young children, you've got to keep their sanity by keeping your sanity.
Correct.
Right. And don't ruin it's already stressful for the other guests there. Don't make it worse for them by the way that you act.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
And remember, the cast
Easier said than
members are
done.
just as stressed as everybody else because they have to try to come up with ideas for everybody.
You know, if someone has called you a Karen once in your life, you should not be going to Walt Disney World during hurricane season.
So, and be mindful of the cast members. Be thankful. Be appreciative.
Yes.
Let them know that you're appreciative, because you mentioned earlier they live there, so
Right.
their properties, might be in danger, and they've got family members too. So if they're there taking care of you, you should be extra appreciative and let them know so.
Absolutely.
Yeah, a lot of the cast members are sequestered to stay on property when there's a hurricane like that, if they have a shift.
Kristen Bell was actually a guest at one of the resorts during one of the hurricanes. And while she went downstairs to see what was going on with, you get bored in your room depending on where you're staying. So I don't know where she was. We'll say Wilderness Lodge. Down in the main area, they were trying to entertain the kids, and she went down there and started singing all the Frozen songs for them.
Oh,
yeah, that's nice.
Just to do it, because she was worried, about these kids. She didn't want the kids to be scared.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's nice.
Yeah, that's very nice. I'm trying to think. Is there anything we haven't touched on yet? We've talked about staying on property, transportation, food, being courteous and kind.
Again, make sure if you're in a resort where you can't leave your room, make sure you have water there, because there's no guarantee that the water won't get contaminated.
Right.
Yeah.
So bring bottled water.
Yeah. They actually had us fill the tub up overnight when they were expecting the worst weather to come in, just in case they had problems with water and you needed it to flush the toilets the next day.
Oh, right.
Yeah, that too. Good point.
But Dave made sure to tell those things to all the guests, so we were prepared.
Yeah. We actually have to do that too here in our houses, in case something happens like that. Yeah. Yeah. That's a very good thing. I had a thought and then I lost it.
Did it blow out of your head?
It did.
Category 4.
Win ticket.
Category 4. I'm trying to think what else.
Yeah, this is one of those shows where it's not a lot of information we can give you, and a lot of it is common sense that you should be prepared for. I think the lucky part is if you're staying on property, is Disney will take care of you in the best possible way, where I don't think you'll get that elsewhere. That's not to say you won't get good service, good, and good safety measures being taken place in another resort. I think you probably will, but we don't know. We can only tell you what we know about Disney and what they do for their guests.
What resort would be your first choice, Stuart, if you were going to be there? If you were going to be there and there actually was a hurricane, which resort do you think you would feel the safest in and have the best experience with the parks being closed, say, for a day?
This might shock you. I've only been in the lobby of this resort, but I'm going to say the Riviera. And the reason I'm saying the Riviera is because it's one of the newer resorts. So the safety standards was probably built with higher safety standards. That's not to say that the other resorts are not exceeding safety standards. I'm sure they are. I'm sure things are done to them through the years to keep up with the current safety standards. But being that being a newer resort, I would feel safer there, knowing that the construction of that resort is probably top notch in terms of hurricanes, they withstand hurricane wind force and all that other fun stuff that goes along with it. How about yourself?
Oh, I think about safety. I also think about what kind of resort would keep me from going stir crazy. So I have places to get out, walk around, sit somewhere other than in my room. So things that occur to me are places like Wilderness Lodge, Contemporary, because they've got some large and open common spaces.
But if there's a hurricane coming through, you wouldn't be able to be outside.
Well, that's
Well,
what I'm
no, you're
saying. So
walking
the
through your
Contemporary has some, big atrium. It's got multiple
Yeah.
levels of
Yeah.
places to go.
They've got
Wilderness
like
Lodge.
Chef Mickey's and
Yeah.
stuff there, and yeah,
Right. Very long hallways that you can walk up and down.
right.
If you don't want to go stir crazy, same thing as long as along those lines. Animal Kingdom Lodge has some very long hallways. You can walk around there.
Kidani Village.
I would not want to be in Kidani Village because you're really limited on your
Food
restaurants availability.
They'll
Yeah.
probably bring it in, but I'm just saying they've got some very long hallways.
Oh yeah. Oh jeez. You aren't kidding.
Someone we
and
haven't
your
talked
car
about.
would be safer at
Yes.
Kidani
Oh
Village
yeah.
because
Oh,
you'd
yeah.
be in the garage
It's
under the
on the
building.
ground.
Yeah.
It might be underwater, but it would be safer. And that's the problem. If you are staying over at like the Contemporary, that I have been in Florida when that bridge it floods. Under the water bridge, all underwater, you got 6 foot of water in there. So you're caught off from the other half of from the rest of the resorts. You can't get through
Unless you go out the other end and
there's
have
another
to
way you can
travel.
go, but
Yeah.
Something we haven't talked about, which Disney's going to take care of very well, are the animals in Animal Kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure they have
shelters.
Yeah, I'm sure they have shelters in place that will keep them safe and out of danger. But a good indication of when a storm is coming through, listen to the animals in your area, whether it's dogs, cats,
Right. Yeah.
cows. Just listen to the animals that are out in nature. They will give you warning signs by how they behave and how they act.
They will. Yep.
All right. I think we're going to wrap it up here, unless anybody else has something more to add.
Can't think of anything.
Me either. All right. That will do it for us this week. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. We have another great show in store for you next week. I'm not going to give away the topic right now, but it will be fun. A lot of fun. All right. So until next time, everybody, be safe, be yourself. Bye-bye.
Good night, everybody.
Well, we hope that the rain doesn't come down in a hurricane for you, but just in case, the rain came down, in rising, rushing riblets, till the river crept out of its bed and crept right into Piglets. So you and Piglet, come on back next week. Bring your umbrella if it's not going to be a hurricane, and have a good week. Good night.
Have a magical night. Stay safe. Pack your poncho, your rain jacket, and your sunscreen.